I'm Teisha with Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, February the 20th, 2014. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met last night with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Paris, where the two leaders spent several hours discussing the Israeli-Palestinian peace efforts and specifically Kerry's proposed framework agreement, which he is working towards officially presenting to the Israelis and Palestinians within the next month or two. A senior U.S. official said Kerry and Abbas addressed some core issues that remain and would be meeting again today to continue those discussions. During the meeting with Abbas, Kerry also reportedly expressed his, quote, disappointment with some recent anti-Israel rhetoric reported in the media from the Palestinian Authority. Earlier this week, Palestinian head negotiator Saeb Erekat told Al Jazeera during an interview that if U.S.-led peace talks fail, then the Palestinians will call for economic sanctions against Israel. U.S. State Department spokeswoman Marie Harf said the U.S. was concerned about these comments. She said, "We've said all along that it's important to create a positive atmosphere around these discussions." Harf said the personal attacks, quite frankly, are unhelpful, and the Secretary will make clear that these kinds of comments are disappointing, that they are unhelpful, especially coming from someone involved in the negotiations, indeed, the lead negotiator. And staying with the State Department, spokeswoman Marie Harf issued a statement today regarding negotiations with Iran, saying that the United States delegations at the talks in Vienna on Iran's nuclear program will brief Israel on the progress of those talks this week. The P5+1 negotiations with Iran concluded today in the Austrian capital. The parties will next meet in mid-March. The State Department said that a U.S. delegation led by Undersecretary for Political Affairs Wendy Sherman would be visiting Israel as well as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates between February the 21st and the 25th to give an update and hold consultations on the current status of the negotiations. Following the talks with Iran held in Vienna this week, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton said today that things were off to a good start, although there was still much left to do. She said the parties had identified the issues needed to address in reaching a comprehensive and final agreement with Iran. The Jerusalem Post reports that Israeli non-governmental organization Shurat Hadin is threatening to sue Oxfam over their financial support of two Palestinian aid groups that it says are tied to a Palestinian terror group. Shurat Hadin Israel Law Center is a civil rights organization based in Tel Aviv that represents terror victims and takes legal action against groups that they accuse of supporting terror. They sent a letter today to Oxfam International threatening legal action against the organization if Oxfam doesn't stop its involvement with the Union of Health Workers Committees and the Union of Agricultural Workers Committees, which Shurat Hadin calls instrumentalities of the PFLP, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, which has been associated with major terror attacks, including the 1972 massacre at Israel's Lod airport and recent rocket attacks against Israel. Shurat Hadin alleges that Oxfam gives financial help and additional support to the two Palestinian organizations, which are subsidized by the PFLP, noting that the PFLP is listed by the European Union as a terrorist organization and designated by the United States as well as a foreign terrorist organization. Shurat Hadin alleges that Oxfam's providing financial aid to the two Palestinian groups, quote, directly or indirectly makes assets available to the PFLP. Oxfam was last in our newscast when it dropped Jewish-American actress Scarlett Johansson as its ambassador after she stood by her agreement to be the spokesperson for Israeli company SodaStream, which operates in the West Bank.
Sorry, Coke and Pepsi.
Oh, yeah, she does.
The Jewish Union at Vassar College has become the second campus Hillel to reject the guidelines of Hillel International and declare itself an open Hillel. The Vassar Jewish Union, or VJU, on Tuesday said that Hillel's policy prohibiting partnering with or hosting groups or speakers that deny Israel's right to exist or delegitimize Israel is an obstacle to their providing a pluralistic space for Jewish life at the college. They said, "We believe this policy censors and delegitimizes the diverse range of personal and political opinions held by Jewish students." VJU further said that it recognizes that, quote, "identification with Israel is not necessarily an integral part of every individual's Jewish identity," and that Hillel International's goal to inspire Jewish students to develop a meaningful relationship with Israel does not reflect the diverse opinions of young American Jews. The announcement from the Poughkeepsie, New York Liberal Arts College follows a similar one from Swarthmore College this past December, when they also rejected Hillel's guidelines regarding hosting groups deemed hostile towards Israel. Following the Swarthmore announcement, Hillel International President Eric Fingerhut said that Hillel International expects all campus groups that use the Hillel name to adhere to the international group's guidelines, and that no organization that uses the Hillel name may choose to do otherwise.
Blown away by the idea.
Administrator of the United Nations Development Program is visiting Israel for the first time this week. Helen Clark is participating in a young entrepreneurs conference called ID2, Israeli Designed International Development. It's taking place in the city of Caesarea today and hosting 70 young Jewish innovators, entrepreneurs, and international development professionals, also from around the world. The conference is organized by the Schusterman Family Foundation and sponsored by Mashav, Israel's Agency for International Development Cooperation, also by Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Tel Aviv University.
Silent killer of
the visit by Clark is seen as another positive step in the strengthening of the relationship between Israel and the United Nations. Clark is considered to be the third most senior official within the UN system.
I was really inspired by what the young innovators had to say. There were some brilliant ideas there across technology applications and also ways of getting people properly organised for development solutions. So plenty of ideas there that could be up and running and really benefit a lot of people.
Policy advisor to Mashab, Danielle Abraham, and Deputy Director of the PAIRS Program on Innovation and International Development at Tel Aviv University, Daniel Ben Yehuda, said of the gathering, "Our goal is to transform Israel from the startup nation to the development startup nation by encouraging and empowering young international development players and entrepreneurs from around the world to get on board." They said, "We expect amazing ideas to come out of ID2 and to move the entrepreneurship for development agenda forward into real action." And a group of Jewish early childhood education directors and teachers also recently arrived in the country to gain new perspective on Israeli education. The group of 16 are participating in a 10-day intensive Israel seminar, which began today and runs through March the 2nd. It is part of the Jewish Early Childhood Education Leadership Institute. The seminar is part of the Institute's 15-month professional learning program, which helps educators better understand the role of Israel in Jewish life. Institute Director Lyndall Miller said for many early childhood programs, engagement with Israel is confined to tasting fruit on Tu B'Shvat or taking a pretend plane trip to visit a replica of the Western Wall and snack on falafel. But to create a deeper education experience, the educators themselves need to have a fuller understanding of Israel and build personally meaningful connections to Israel and to Israelis. She said the Israel seminar invites educators to do just that and to learn about what it means to be a member of the larger group, the Jewish people. And turning to our Shalom TV programming for tonight, Thursday, February the 20th at 8:30, Israeli journalist and historian Avi Shilon sits with New York Israeli Consul for Media Affairs, Shachar Azani, to talk about Shilon's latest books, Menachem Begin, A Life, and Ben Gurion, Epilogue, on Shalom TV's original series, Eye on Israel. And then at 9 tonight, Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz joins Mark Golub on L'chaim, talking about his new book, Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law, where Dershowitz recounts his legal autobiography as well as his youth in Brooklyn, his appointment as the youngest professor in Harvard history, and his Jewish identity. That's all coming up tonight here on Shalom TV and ShalomTV.com. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, February the 20th, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader.